and welcome back to the Barbers Roundtable podcast. This is episode 6. We are here with my man Ralph Master Barber on how barbering changed his life. This episode is sponsored by Paradise Beard Oil, Barber on the Run Promotion, Creative Culture Barbershop, and Top Notch Barber Expo. All right. So Ralph is a 20-year vet in the industry, and we are here today to see where Ralph Master Barber came from, what's his backstory, and how he is trying to help somebody that might have went down these paths. So thank you for sticking around. Let's get it going. Ralph, man, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you for having me on your podcast.
For sure,
I'm very
man.
blessed to be here, especially from where I came from.
Right.
To being in this position right now, it's a blessing in itself.
Okay.
I wish that I could tell everyone that my story was like from one day to the other, was a glitz and glamour, but it was far from that.
So let's go down this road real quick, Ralph. So before you were a barber, right? You've been a barber for 20 plus years, so that was way before social media and things like that. Where was Ralph? Not Ralph Master Barber, but where was Ralph? Because we trying to get to know who you are.
Right. Well, to get this all started, if we want to go really further back, I was a barber since anything that I could remember, because I wish that I could tell everyone that barbering came from like this passion that it was just flowing, but in reality it was completely the opposite.
So what wasn't flowing before you was a barber? What were you into?
I was just trying to survive.
Okay.
I came here at 2 years old, an immigrant.
Where from?
Costa Rica.
So you're Costa Rican?
Yeah, I'm Costa Rican,
I thought you was Cuban.
Because I was raised in Little Havana since I was the age of 2. So I was surrounded by Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and, I learned the culture, but Costa Rican and root, what I'm saying?
Okay, so now we got to understand it. See, honestly, from the time I met you, I thought you was Cuban because you always say que vola.
Oh.
That's a Cuban thing, but now we know you're Costa Rican with, a little bit of roots from everybody.
Oh, dear.
Now that's dope, man.
Yeah.
That is super dope to know. So, what were you working and doing before you even became a barber, before you picked up a pair of shears, before you picked up a pair of clippers?
Man, the crazy thing is that where the city, I came here in the 80s, when I was just a kid, and the city of Miami and Little Havana was like
that was that cocaine era.
Yes, but the thing is that when you're born in that environment, it seems normal to you.
Right.
It's only until you start growing up and you start going through different obstacles or people in the street, or I remember as a kid, getting robbed by older men, saying things that kids, I feel like should never go through. So I was exposed to a certain lifestyle that I didn't ask to be in, but I was just diagnosed. You get what I'm saying? It's crazy because...
But those things have molded you to become Ralph Master Barber. Those things have probably been an integral part of your life to get you to this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because your path was already written, and, sometimes we have to go through those struggles to get to where we need to be.
Right. But it's so crazy how...
That's crazy. Getting robbed by older people when you was a kid?
The thing is that back then it was just something that you already picked up on. When you see 2 guys on a bike and one of the pegs, you got to be ready. You got to a point that you're going from playing to learning as a kid, the alleys or the places how to escape. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're a kid, you're afraid. And when you don't have somebody, you don't have a strong figure at home, that you can depend on in these moments, it gets to a point where it becomes survival of the fittest.
Okay.
It's crazy because these are true stories, and that's why I get kind of nervous when it comes to talking about these things, because I have to go deep, rooted into the deepest of my memories, and I'm afraid what comes out sometime. But if I don't let it come out.
So let me ask you this: when was the very first time you recall saying, I gotta change what I'm doing, and decided to pick up a pair of clippers?
The crazy thing about that, like back to what I was saying, you become a product of your environment. And after a while, you either have to find a way or you get dug in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was like I was just trying to find different ways of how to come up. And, I was just a simple thing. Like it's crazy. I always try to say, like, through my journey, I found...
Right.
I found, salvation in some way through God,
Right.
and 100%, because the thing is that as I read certain things, one of the scriptures that I remember is like, you don't know what I'm doing now, but you'll understand later. And
Right.
I always tell people that, so it's so crazy as I fast forward to my life, I've realized that even in that darkest moments when I was there with no way out,
Right.
it was like a perfect plan to build me to be in this position right now. But I went.
Now, when I know that you said, that you were wrapped up and you grew up in that type of environment, and becoming part of your environment, it's not our fault, right?
Right.
And it's not our parents' fault. It's just what we have grown up around.
Right.
Did you at some point succumb to that type of lifestyle where you was probably out here selling, stealing, I don't know.
Yeah, just knucklehead stuff, you know what I'm saying? But in reality, the funny thing about it is that I always felt guilt behind it. It was just like when you have no choice, you do what you gotta do.
That's because you had a good heart and a good upbringing, but you was just caught up in the matrix of the environment that you lived in, especially living out here in the 80s as a young man in Hialeah, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is that when I was doing these things, I was under the age of 10. You get what I'm saying? So the funny part is that I didn't find barbering. Barbering found me. Because It was just the simple fact that I couldn't afford a haircut. That I would go to school and be teased over the clothes I wore, or the haircut that was outdated. I had the AC Slater when it was not AC Slater stage anymore. I had I remember one day that I could remember very vividly is that I remember one time being in the lunchroom, and I had the rat tail, and somebody pulled my rat tail. But I was after long days of that guy punking me every damn day. I turned around, I swung. But the problem is that same day I was so pissed off that I went home and I cut it off. And when I cut it off, that was I'm gonna try to just do this thing myself. You get what I'm saying?
And you try to fix your own cut?
Yes, but I did horrible.
It's okay though.
And then I went from rat tail to being cabeza de queso in school. You know what I'm saying? So it became another demon. It was just more like I had no choice but to get better. Right. So the funny thing about in these situations, I remember looking out the project window and looking at kids that rode a bike. I think I told you that before. Just seeing them riding a bike, I felt like, man, they're so lucky. Right. Just because they had a bike. Yeah. The simplest things, and it's just like, it was just like, bro, I picked up those clippers just because I couldn't afford anything. It wasn't like, I'm going to become a barber. I was just tired of being teased,
Wow. No, that's a different thing, you know what I'm saying? You did it out of necessity, right? You guys couldn't afford for you to get a haircut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then being teased and all that, that's what started molding you for this time. When in your time period after you became a barber, right, that you actually started, enjoying it and developing a love for the art of barbering.
The funny thing about love is that when you are looking for it, sometimes it finds you. And the funny thing is that I keep saying that because it's funny to me because I see from, when I say funny, is that I never thought, and look at the position now. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, how could I explain it? It was just like how I said, I was doing things that I didn't want to do. And I looked out the window and I used to feel so unfortunate. And all I remember is saying, man, I wish I could live a better life.
So that was that was something like you have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror.
And just like, bro, like
say,
what I gotta do, and it's like I don't know what to do, and all of a sudden I'm still doing things that I'm feeling guilty about, and as in that process that I can't afford a haircut, I start improving without noticing because I just had my back against the wall.
Right.
It was just like I remember going in the street and people be like, oh, it went from that to being like, oh, you're whack. So it went from teasing to, oh, you're not, but damn, you're noticing my haircuts now. You know what I'm saying? But
there you go.
But,
see, and that's the thing. Like, people sometimes talk just to hear themselves talk, right? And they're gonna talk down on somebody else, but they didn't have the balls to actually pick up a pair of clippers and start cutting, right? At least, you know what I'm saying? Okay, it wasn't the best cut,
right?
But you was giving yourself a cut. It wasn't proven. They might not know I liked it, but hey, where they at now?
But that's
because you kept grinding when people weren't looking.
But the funny thing is the same thing I was telling you. It's just like while they were teasing, I still just didn't have any choice.
Right.
So when they were thinking they were knocking me from stopping, all it was is just that I didn't have no choice. I just did not have a choice but to get better. So then what happened was that eventually that's what I meant, it found me, because I was doing other things to survive.
Right.
And then all of a sudden a guy in school said, hey, Ralph, I'm like, man, who cuts your hair? I'm like, me? He's like, yeah, no way. No way. I was like, yeah, I do. I was like a little blowout, whatever. And like, yeah, bro, you cut my hair up? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. But I didn't charge him. It was just like, oh, whatever. So then I cut him up. This is how it happens. This is how it happened. So then I cut him up. Da-da-da. He left. Then, he all of a sudden, like, he brings me a homeboy, like whatever. Hey, this guy. So I lace him up. So I'm like, oh, what's up with these guys? Whatever. So then one day, I remember it like it was yesterday. How it happened. It was just like one day I'm coming from school, walking from Miami High all the way to crib, sweating. I'm there walking, and all of a sudden I see two guys in front of my doorstep. Two guys in front of my doorstep.
Before we go further, what clippers did you have at that moment when he asked you for that cut?
The cheapest ones on the market.
Some Walmart joint.
Kmart. And I only had one
my
clipper.
Man went back to
and I
Kmart.
only had one clipper.
It was just
with
one
a
clipper.
rubber band. True story. I swear to God.
That's what's up.
I swear to God.
But see, again, that's the thing. It's not even the tools, right? Is you kept going, although it wasn't like, you know, some high-tech joint. You kept going. You didn't let that defeat you, right? So you have gone through this whole process, and that's where sometimes for me it's like everybody wants everything so fast now, you know, that I almost feel like everybody has to slow down so we can have these life experiences even if you haven't been through a struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got your first man's right in high school. So you cut your rat tail off. They were still clowning you because you had the whack haircuts. You kept going with the shitty ass clippers. Cut your first dude because he asked you, which is the funniest shit ever.
Found me.
Right? So he found you. You cut him up. Then he brought you a couple other people.
Well, one.
Right? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel good. But I'm like, damn, I'm really getting that good because you're underestimating. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At that moment, you're thinking like, I'm gonna do it because I just like cutting hair. I would cut my little brother. My brother is the biggest model that I've ever had. He was switch cheesed all up. You know what I'm saying? For like years. You know, we'd laugh about it now. You know, but how can I explain it? You know, the funny thing is that when I came to my no,
you can just move it back.
It was after a day that I was walking all the way from Miami High back to my house, and when I got there was two people standing in front of my doorstep, you know, and I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Oh, I think you think you could cut me up? Right. And I was like, okay, but bro, like if you guys are gonna do it like this, at least give me $5 or something. It was literally $5 or something, and then he was
whatever
like,
they had in the pockets.
For sure, yeah. It was just like, oh, I'm not gonna be doing it because you're already coming. But then when I got those $5 instead of $5, he gave me $7. You know, he gave me like $10 or whatever.
Oh, you was balling.
But I was like, damn. And then I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I make some money. Hey, whenever you guys want, come through.
Right.
So it's like that became 1, and then 2, and then as time went on, you know, I started getting, and I was in Miami High at that time.
Wow.
You know, and it was like, then I went to Miami High was a big school. So then it's
Around
like,
what year was that?
I started, I would say like I graduated 2000, so it was maybe the beginning of it. So I would say 94, 95.
Oh wow!
You know, I remember it was right before Tupac died. That's how I remember. I was in Citrus about to go to Miami High, and I was like, "Damn, Pac, no!" You know, you know, it's crazy, but whatever. So, you know, it's just the funny thing that I started seeing people coming, and then that's what by itself has kind of started drilling me away, but it wasn't enough money still.
Right. But you started growing love for the art.
Because what I was finding.
It was putting a couple dollars in your pocket.
Because it started saving my life. It started steering me a different direction.
So it was getting you from all the crazy shit that you was doing out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? It's steered you in a different path.
Right. And if you ask me, I got answered. I feel like God sometimes puts tools in your life,
right,
to fight these wars, but we just misuse it. You know, I feel like, you know, like I always tell people, like I got in a point in my life where I just learned to work like if my back is always against the wall. Right. You know, and always look, because that mindset has gotten me further than I ever thought. You know, from addictions to alcoholism to etc. You know what I'm saying? It's just around my way, even though when I was feeling a little trapped,
right,
some way, somehow, something always found me to take me out. Because even if I was doing the things, I feel like my heart was always in the right place, but not my circumstance.
Okay.
Feel me?
Totally understand that. Now, when did you go to barber school
No,
to get your L's?
The thing is that I wasn't even thinking about making it even a career. It was just like what was right now, the gimmick of that moment. You know, love increased, but what I said, it was like, how could I say, when you meet somebody for the first time, something that got your attention, but you still don't know.
Right.
But as time progressed, I started to respect, you know, but it took me a while to respect this craft, because I've disrespected it for so many years. And I feel sometimes I'm not where I was supposed to be because I wasn't ready for it. So even me speaking right now on this podcast is me stepping out of my comfort zone, because I'm preparing myself for the moment that I know God has destined for me.
Now that's beautiful, man. So, what year did you actually go to school out here, and what did that do for you?
The thing is that I was from the street. I was a regular barber from the street. It took me a while to get my license because I was just doing okay at the house, and it was just kind of like, it wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't a career. I was still in high school at that moment.
Right.
I was like a kid.
It was still a hustle.
It was still just like whatever. But even in school, I was getting teased on by the guys who were working at a barbershop. They know who they are. I ain't gonna mention no names, but you feel me? I remember that. Yeah. And I remember one time there was this one guy. He told me, "Oh, look, what are you doing?" And I go, "You know what the problem is?" I turned around. I told him, "You know what the problem is? You think you're the only one that could get better at this shit. That's the problem."
when was whatchamacallit? So after high school, what were you into then?
You know, like I said, I was like a hustle, but I was still, you know, trying to figure out different things. So I was still young-minded, you know, still, misguided. I still didn't really see real money. The problem really became when I started seeing real cash. The funny thing is that when I was in the gutter and I didn't have nothing, it was like, okay, I'm trying to survive just to get by. Right. But once I started seeing the amount of cash and no guidance, that's when everything really started curving for me. But before I even got my foot in a barbershop, I didn't have a license. It was back in the days when, remember, it was like, and the crazy thing is because again, that's where I feel like something looks after us, because the thing is that I wasn't even thinking about going to ask for a job at that barbershop. It was a client of mine that I couldn't attend one day, and he decided to go into that neighborhood barbershop because it was when all those barbershops were coming up with all the TVs and the fancy stuff in that era. I don't know if you remember,
early
like
2000s.
before that, all barbershops were just mom and pop, like un viejito, stuff like that. So this was a barbershop that opened up with flat screens, all the exotic cars, the dunks, and I was like, oh my God. So he got intrigued and went in to get a haircut. And for some reason, that's why I'm telling you, something used him to be like, hey man, I know a barber. And he's like, oh yeah? He goes, does he have a license? No. Well, tell him to come in. Right. And then he came to me. He's like, "Hey, man, there's a barbershop by Miami High. They're looking for employees. They're looking for barbers." Right. And I'm like, "Bro, I'm embarrassed because I only have one machine. Like, bro, how the hell am I gonna step in there with one Kmart machine?" He's setting me up because I come from the place where everybody's always messing with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and again, not the backbone at the crib. So it's like I was always like, people just didn't know, because I knew how to sometimes mimic it or hide it. Right. Because luckily, again, another tool which I had, art.
Yeah, you was just hustling.
Painting was my escape. Okay. I had tools that were put into my life in these circumstances.
So some of the artwork here in your shop, you've painted these.
Yes, and my brother.
Oh, that's dope.
My brother did that logo over there, but I let him paint it because it was a tribute, because when in my 20s, I had a dream of having one day a barbershop called Miami Clipper Kings. At the age of like 29, and he drew the sketch for me. And when we had that, I said, hey man, you gotta come in here and just do this place justice, because that's your logo. You made that.
That's dope.
And I will always say it.
Nah, that's dope. So your brother made the thing. Right. Do you still draw till this day as an escape out, like just a secondary thing outside of barbering, right? Do you still use it as a hobby?
You know what? It's always been some way, somehow, my crutch. And it's just something that no matter what, it just lives in me, man. I'm a creator. I'm different. I'm not a barber. I want to be known as an artist, as a creator.
Well, you are.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, all the hair designs and things that you do.
Right.
You've won a couple competitions. You got some trophies under your belt. Mm-hmm.
Blessed.
When did you acquire your shop? Like, what transpired for you to say, listen, I'm ready to be a shop owner?
The thing is, I feel like every barber in some time in their life, they want to be a shop owner. It's just that, how bad do you really want to pursue it? And I'm only saying this out of self-experience, because I wanted a barbershop at the age of 20. I wanted it, that was like a dream, because I come from nothing to all of a sudden seeing what barber could become, through my peers and guys who were, doing it at that time. I was blessed by having those people in my corner at the beginning of my career. And the funny thing is that when I walked in there, I thought I kind of knew, but I figured out that I didn't know nothing. And back to that story.
So you found yourself coming up with a mentor. You had somebody that was mentoring you, or you were still trying to just figure it out even while you were in shops?
Okay, well, reversing to that question, the only way that I could explain it is by reversing back to that moment where that friend of mine got me the opportunity to go and meet these people. Right before I walked in, I was gonna walk in, and then I got nervous. The same thing happened, the same similar feelings. All these feelings back in the day, same shit. So then I was like, well, what are you doing? The same guy. He got me there and he's like, yo, we stayed out there for 30 minutes convincing me, because I'm thinking about the machine the whole entire time instead of just walking in. And then the thing is that right before that day, I was so desperate. I kind of saw like a peanut machine rusted in some like yard somewhere. And I went over there and I kind of like took it and I tried, and I went with the rusted peanut. I didn't even know it was a popular machine at that time. And I had the Kmart machine. I walked in there, and when he said, okay, I'm ready, he's like, sorry buddy, we don't do it like that. You're gonna have to come tomorrow and show me a demo. And I was like, ugh. It took me about 30 minutes to get inside. He's like, tomorrow you're gonna have to do this again. You're gonna have to show me what you got. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And then he's like, you got this. The same guy, but something used him to continue pushing me there.
That's
you know what I'm saying? I know, but it's just I don't want to say people's names, but he knows who he is, bro. So the crazy thing is, after that, I came back the next day. I remember trying to cut up. I was all sweating, nervous. You know, all these guys. You know, and when I walked in there, imagine a kid in his backyard cutting hair like in a milk carton with his dog trying to hump his customers, to all of a sudden walking into this barbershop, exotic, and marble floor. I felt like I was the NBA. And when I seen that, I was like, oh my God, even more nerve-wracking. But the thing about it is that when I cut him up, afterwards, he grabbed my machines, and I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. He kind of fixed the machine. I was nervous because he's already touching my cut. Yeah. He's like this, Then another barber in the background, I remember saying, come on, Marty, at the end, come on, just give him a job. Just give him a job. You know, and his voice got him to make the decision to give me an opportunity. And then when I came back the next day, he told me like this. He said, let me tell you something. It's not about the machine, man. It's about the man holding the machine that counts. And that stuck with me. And it was again, when I was feeling down and not worthy, somebody or some way touch somebody to come and tell me that in my ear.
Now, you still have a relationship with him?
You know, it's been a lot of years and things happen. You know, he was young too and things happen. You know, I'm not going to really go down that alley. But he will always, no matter where he is, always have my respect because he's the one that gave me the opportunity to know that from my backyard, I can make this into a career. And it didn't matter about what machines or what brands I had. It mattered about how much work I put behind those clippers that would help me elevate to the level I am today.
Oh, okay. Talk your shit, my boy. Okay.
Sorry.
Nah, man.
Speaking from the heart.
Hey, listen. I love that shit, man.
Sorry.
But, all right. So, how long have you had this shop?
We're going on 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Same location?
Same location. Same location. Okay. We survived the pandemic. You know, I didn't even know how we were going to survive the pandemic. Right. All I remember saying again, Lord, just please don't let me fail. That's all I said. Don't let me fail, please. Just give me the tools to survive me and I'll take care of the rest. Don't let me fail. And I haven't failed.
That's what's up.
You're never going to fail with the army of God behind you, ever. Take it from a man who's been at the bottom, bro. And I'm making it, and I'm still going to keep climbing with faith because I know that he's preparing me for a moment from broken clippers to a podcast that you and me are going to now, because I'm going to remember who was the one. Years from now, I'm going to remember who started. Years from now, I'm going to remember who believed in me. Years from now, I'm going to remember, and I'm going to open the doors for other people to come with me. That's what I see in my future, because again, what is promised in your memory, in your imagination, God wants to give you that beyond more.
No, that's what's up, man, and I appreciate that, bro, because I'm the same way, man. Once I consider somebody a friend, and Ray will tell you this, man, like I'm a friend, and I'm a friend for life. You know what I'm saying? Whether we talk every day or not, no matter, we'll pick up wherever we left off. You know what I'm saying? So, in me, bro, you always got a friend. I know we're just getting to know each other, Junk. I'm learning about your story, you know, your backstory, which is pretty fucking incredible. You know what I mean? And don't be ashamed of the things that have happened in your life prior to you being where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes our circumstances are the ones that drive us right to where we need to be, along with the faith that we have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And listen, we have to be real with ourselves and everything else, because no matter what we do, how we do it, there's people that are always going to criticize.
Right.
But you're not doing this for nobody else.
Right.
But Ralph.
And my family.
And your family.
Because, you know, with all these trials and things that have been in my life, I'm not gonna go into too many details, but like I said, you know, I didn't really find the problems also until I started seeing real money. So I went from buying my clippers to buying nicer clippers to making more money. You know, but it didn't just happen like that for me, because at the end of the day, I had to deal with pressure in the barbershop because everybody were juggernauts at that time. And without them even noticing, I looked up to them, but they always knocked me down. Some of them were good, some of them were tough on me, some of them bullied me. I even got into a little bit with the owner once. He roughed me up a little bit. I was 60 years old. I got freaked out a little bit, yeah. But the funny thing, everybody's like, oh, I can't believe you're still in that shop. But the funny thing is that you don't know where I come from. So if I turn my back on this NBA barbershop, I would have to go back to that crate where people were, where I had to go back to that place where I'd never wanted to return to. So I knew that I had to stick it out, because I always knew since my beginning to stick it out. And I stuck it out. And I progressed and I learned. I became a sponge. There was such talented barbers in that day, bro. I'm telling you, there was one guy specifically. He used to pick on me like crazy. He was way older than me, but I admired him because he had that design game on lock. He was awesome.
When was your first like battle that you went to?
The first battle I ever did. The first competition, I did horrible. Some people that know me know this story. You know, everything that went wrong, that you think could go wrong, went wrong on me that day. Right. From the lighting to my model sweating to him getting lost in this event. Oh shit! And by the way, if anybody ever went to the Exotic Miami first battle in Miami, it was ridiculously packed. So you don't want to lose nobody there. And it was a 2-floor. I was sweating, and everybody's like, Ralph, calm down. Where's this model? Where's this model? When I see him, he's over there hanging out with some people, taking shots. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? We're about to go on. Like, you know, I was already nervous.
He was sweating all that liquor.
Yeah, and then, you know, I never battled, but I remember, you know, being intrigued by battles online on YouTube. I started seeing them blowing up in New York. I'm like, man, I would like to join these, you know, but at the end of the day is wanting, going for it, and then finding out what it really is once you get there, you know. So whatever. The thing is that right before I'm going to go on, I have this whole thing planned out in my mind. I'm thinking about this monster with eyeballs and all this mindset. I'm thinking all this crazy. I'm gonna go hard. Watch, and then, you know, and at the same time, you know, funny thing is that it also humbled me down, because for many years I used to think that because of the way I progressed, I used to think that in my head, I felt I was the baddest barber in every barbershop. True story. You know, I had humble things, but life humbled my ass down real quick. So the funny thing is that when I got to this battle, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna blow everybody out of the water. All of a sudden, no plugs, sweating. I don't know what to do. I'm going to all of a sudden, they have this guy next to me. That all of a sudden I'm like, oh, where's your model? He's like, I don't need a model. I'm my own model. If you ever seen somebody ever shit on himself, like that live, I would have been a prime example, bro, because it was dark. I didn't have a light. I was unexperienced. I thought they were gonna set me up right, you know. And it wasn't a stage. It was dark. They put me in the darkest part because no puse el pie. So they put me by the curtain somewhere. Nobody even saw me, but only the screen. I remember, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't. And all of a sudden he opens up a self-cut system in front of me. And I didn't need any more light because Buddy had the light. Once he turned on, it was like God, like, yeah. He got the machine, and I never forgot, bro. That guy did Mount Rushmore in front of my face, and I realized, like, bro, I don't know shit. I don't know shit. Shit. This guy was a fucking champion from LA, and all of a sudden, oh, everybody knew him, and I got first taste of what the other side is. Right. And I was and I went with the humbled and I was with my whole back crew. To the shop, huh? I was with the whole barbershop, to see me at the end fail. You know what I'm saying? And at that moment, I just started with my wife. She wanted to go, but she gave me a present. We started talking. We were just dating at that moment. But the funny thing is, I wasn't even gonna battle.
So that experience.
I was always explaining to her about battling, and she's the one that signed me up. Another person again pushing me where I was nervous to go into.
Right. So after that battle, you got humbled.
Super humbled.
So you went back to the shop like a dog with the tail between the legs.
Yes.
You wasn't the best no more,
And it didn't help that one of the barbers won third place there. He put his trophy right next to me. Just to shit on me. So
rubbed it right in your chest. Hey, but see, those are moments, I think, those are teaching moments for us, although we don't see them that way when they happen.
Yeah.
Which was the first time that you won your first trophy at a battle?
Well, after that event, you know, I was discouraged. You know, I kind of like felt like it wasn't ready for me. I felt all the negative things that we all feel when we fail for the first time or multiple times or whatever the case may be. But I learned to be human, fall, and then the voice of reason told me, hey, oh yeah, well, I'm signing you up to a new battle. You're gonna try again. But the funny thing is about somebody, when you want something, you don't gotta push them so much. That's why I say you can lead the horse to water, but if you don't want to drink it, you know what I'm saying? But if somebody wants the water, he's gonna drink the shit out of that water, you know?
So at what show was it that you won your first trophy?
Man, it was Treasure Coast. Treasure Coast, man. Treasure Coast were the ignition to show me that I can win. Okay. It was the seed, because the thing is, I went to another one after that, but I improved. The funny thing is about when you do things and you fail, you know everything that you can improve in after.
Yeah, failure is not necessarily bad. That just shows you there's, you know, room for improvement. Right. You know what I mean?
Correct. I feel 100% that's just, again, God preparing you, you know, but He'll prepare you for everything you ask for. You just got to continue just to work hard, go through it, and let Him build the blueprint.
Right. Give me a sec.
All right,
so Treasure Coast.
Treasure Coast, yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Actually put you on the map with your first trophy.
2.
Oh, two.
So it was 2 for 2. But I'm just saying, it just felt good because I just felt like it felt that way to me at that moment. It was just like, and it's crazy because, you know, back to what I was saying, was a few things, you know, I feel like interrupted in the things that I did was also that I suffered with, you know, narcotics and stuff like that on the low, you know, and once in a while, you know what I'm saying, I felt like everything came from there, but it was all ways of, I don't know, it was just lost at that moment, you know. I was trying to find myself from a darker place, you know, but I don't know if I speed up into that, but it's just that it brought me back to memory, because back to where I was starting to make money, you know, at the barbershop. You know, I also got introduced to all these other things, you know, but I always suffered with trying to come up, but at the same time with the mental things in my mind. So I got introduced to certain things where it would numb, it would quiet the noise. So I felt like,
nah, that's good though. So Treasure Coast, 2 trophies, and you're still chasing something. Right. But you're also indulging in other activities and not 100% vested in the barber art.
But what I was trying to say is that when I did that battle was one of the few times that I was so nervous that I decided not to do anything. It was like one of those things that kind of like pushed itself onto me. Right. So when you were trying to explain to me, I maybe didn't explain myself correctly, but when I was trying to say is that I won those 2 trophies out of nerves and out of facing it head on with nothing, just because I was so damn nervous.
And sometimes it be like that.
And it was like an indication, but I still battled the things, but at that moment I did it as me.
So how many trophies do you have in total now?
I don't even know. You know, just I'm just blessed to have you. I don't know. I gotta look for him. Just.
Now, what gets you going every day to come in the shop every day, still cut behind that chair? What is that one thing that gets you up every morning to do it all over again?
Just the simple fact of trying to become the best version of me every day. I still are like a long road of becoming that person. But I wake up every day with that desire because I feel like I've had so much wasted time. And like I said, I always ask God and I tell him, if you give me one last opportunity, I promise I won't let you down. And everywhere that I go, I'm always going to mention your name first. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, no matter what, even if you're addicted or you're a drunk and you have all these issues, it's all right to feel these emotions. But if you're tired of being sick and tired and you think that you can't do it on your own, sometimes is that you can't do it on your own. So if you ask for that spiritual help, and I can only speak for myself, is the only way that I actually started being liberated to the point that right now I'm on that journey, that pursuit to becoming all the best that I can become. And not just for me, like I said, it's for my family as well, because I had kids young. I had them in right after high school, and the man that raised them before was not the man that is today. So
I could respect that, bro. Listen, man to man,
just trying to show him what a man is supposed to move like. I'm just trying to show him what a man that never gives up looks like. I want to show the example of what man they should marry now, and what kind of men they should raise up to become.
Now, real quick, so we could start wrapping this up. Nah, you good, my man. That's dope. What is one thing that you would say to anybody listening to the podcast that could do something for them, inspire them in any which way where they don't lose the light? What can you tell these people before we get up out of here and close this podcast? What would you say to them?
What can I say? Well, that's a good question. There's many things you could say, especially in this year today, about the way things are run and certain. But one thing is for sure is just stay humble, always be a sponge. There's nothing that a young person or an old person can't teach you. All you do is apply your years and experience and learn from everyone and make it your own. Have tunnel vision. Don't let nobody tell you can't be good at something, because at the end of the day, if it was put in your heart, it's put in your heart for a reason. If you tell it to a small-minded individual, that's the worst way you can kill a dream, because sometimes your dreams are too big to tell it to small-minded people. So you got to surround yourself with different people. And number one is that crazy guys. I grind and I work harder and I get closer to God. The more I start finding people that think more like me. And in reality, I just found out to myself that all this time, number one, God was preparing me and I was ahead of my time.
Wow. Damn, bro. Listen, Ralph, I appreciate you being on the podcast. I appreciate you sharing some of your story. I know there is a whole lot more to Ralph Master Barber.
I hope that was good enough.
Nah, man. Listen, that was beautiful, bro. I appreciate you sharing how you got here. You know what I mean? And speaking, your truth. You know what I mean? And I know there's a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to end this on that beautiful note that you just gave us. Again, this episode's been sponsored by Top Notch Barber Expo, Creative Culture Barbershop, Paradise Beard Oil, and Barber on the Run Promotions, man. I appreciate y'all being on this episode, and we're going to catch y'all next time. Peace.